Good morning and welcome back to Live at the Legislature. I'm Kealoha Lindsay with the House Minority. Our guest today joining us for the first time is Representative Bob McDermott. He represents District 40, which encompasses Eva Beach, Eva by Gentry, and Iroquois Point. Rep. McDermott, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kyle. How are you doing?
Good. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to make a statement on the tragedy that happened. We heard in the last two segments about the two fallen officers. So.
Yeah, what can we say? They're brave folks, and the thin blue line, right? And we love them, we appreciate them, and our prayers and thoughts are with them.
And with tragedies like this, obviously comes, solutions, whether it be gun control or mental health treatment for those folks. So and you've actually introduced some bills on this topic this year. So what are those?
Well, in this particular case, I don't want to comment because they haven't completed the investigation and I don't know enough about it. Whenever someone does something like this, though, obviously that the very act is one of mental instability. So the real issue we have is mental health. How do we define in a country of 300 million people those folks who shouldn't have access to a weapon, even though it's their constitutional right? If they're crazy, we don't want them to have guns, right? And so that is the challenge we have in this century moving forward.
And you're introducing a bill, I don't have the number offhand, but it's a red flag law. So if one of the things that's happened in the mainland is we have these juveniles who develop these kill lists in high school and are red flagged, and they're referred to juvenile court and they get treatment, but as soon as they hit 18, that all disappears. And then they can go buy a firearm. Well, that doesn't mean they're mentally stable, right? So we've introduced a bill that law enforcement has access to those juvenile records up to about age 26. So if they try and buy a weapon, the law enforcement can see, hey, this guy has had multiple instances just 6 months ago. He shouldn't have a weapon in his hands. And, I've got a tremendous rating from the NRA. I'm like one of their top guys. But in this case, it makes sense. And this is the area we've got to figure out and try and grapple with. Transitioning from that to the state of the state and the joint package from the majority, you had comment yesterday on the governor's address.
Sure. So first of all, Governor Ige is a nice man. He's a very nice guy. He goes about his business in workmanlike fashion. But I think what you were lacking there from the administration, if you will, is a vision. So they attack the symptoms. Preschool's too expensive. There's not enough housing. How long have we heard about housing? My goodness. Let's get it done. The real issue at all of this is the lack of economic opportunities. So if he was to say, everybody in town knows Amazon wants to come to Hawaii and put up a fulfillment center. Everybody knows that. If he would have announced Amazon's putting up a fulfillment center and we're going to have 500 new jobs on Oahu, that would have uplifted the community. If he would Bigfoot Hawaiian Air and say, look, bring your call center back from the Philippines. You guys are making millions of dollars, particularly with those baggage fees every year. Bring your call center back to Hawaii. In fact, we'll put it on Molokai, and they will lift that entire island out of poverty just because the number of jobs that it would bring, the pay of those jobs, and the small population they have over there. It would transform their lives. So these are the things that a governor can do, and it's a bigger picture thing. We're addressing these symptoms and piecemeal. Put a preschool in a condominium's laundry room. They have extra space. Come on. That thing is going to fall apart. It's going to die a death of benign neglect because nobody's in charge of it. We're going to pour money down it. You'll touch a few kids, you'll get marginal results, but it's not the way to go, in my view. But other than that, I have no strong feelings on it.
And what's stopping the economic development that you're talking about?
Well, you need a cheerleader, right? So you need someone responsible. So I would appoint the director of DBED, Mike McCartney. I said, Mike, you're responsible for this. Get Hawaiian Air to bring their call center back. And I'm behind you 100%. Whatever we need to do to make it happen, we'll do it. Amazon, I'd meet with them and say, what do we need to do to get you to make this happen, come to fruition? One of the things I know they need to do is that they like to, the Barbers Point airfield needs
instrument landing system. So planes, big jets can land on instruments. We don't have that out there. We need to put that out there. But we could even get Amazon to pay for it. They have so much money. Just to ask them. You have to negotiate, make other concessions, right? So these are things that we could do, but we're not doing. And I don't know if it's because our leadership is overwhelmed by the myriad of minutia coming their way every day and not able to cut through and have clarity and say, okay, this is what we need. 500 jobs here, 100 jobs there, piece by piece, and pretty soon you have, 1,000 new jobs. Good paying jobs.
Since this is your first time on here, we had Senator Favela on a lot last year. Tell us a little bit about your district and some of the things that you're doing in Ewa Beach.
Well, Senator Favela and I are very good friends. My number one priority, and I know it's the top of his heart, is Campbell High School. It's the largest high school in the state, and we are in a constant struggle to get caught up. Now, in the last 10 years, we've got $50 million for a new building, air conditioning. The school is totally air conditioned now. The campus, 99.9%. I'd like to take credit for that as a politician, and I would if I was but it's not just me, it's the whole legislature. They have to vote on it, and it was Governor Ige's Cooling 1,000 Classrooms initiative that enabled that to happen. That gave it the impetus to finally get all the AC in Campbell that we needed. So that's good. We've got a new building ready to open probably next month. A bunch of classrooms, high-speed science rooms, all that sort of stuff. And we have a new track and field coming in. So we continue to work on getting it up to speed.
And North Road's something that's been you've been working on for a few years now, right?
So we have a road in our district that's owned by 3 different people: the Navy, the city, and a golf course. And it's a magnet for dumping trash. So without going into too much detail, we're trying to figure out a solution for that. Because the multiple jurisdictions, who's responsible for what, who's supposed to clean up what, the cars and the bulky items are the worst things.
And the 3 owners are?
The Navy, which always cleans their part as soon as we call them. The city, which cleans their part, a little slower than the Navy, I will tell you. And then the golf course, which does nothing. They have an 800-yard easement, and if they dump a car there, the city won't tow it, because the city views that as improving private property, someone else's property, because technically the golf course owns that section of the road. So that's where the stuff ends up piling up. And it also happens to be a place where there's kind of shade and trees, so you can skulk around and be nefarious and up to no goods. When you're dumping your stuff, no one will see you.
Representative McDermott, thank you for joining us.
Okay.
To the viewers at home, thank you for joining us as well. And in the meantime, until next week, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at High House GOP.
What are you doing? We have to go. I'm gonna be late for work.
It's Tuesday morning. I gotta record live at the legislature on Alelo. Senate and House leadership discussing what's happening at the state capitol.
So just watch it on the news tonight. Come on, let's go.
Hey, this is like getting the news before it's news. If only I could get this remote to work.
There. Can we go now?
No DVR? No problem. Watch Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. on Channel 49.